What's howling, Mad Squad? It's your host, Joe, aka Mad Joe C. In this Mad Hero News video, we're going to be talking about the recent Captain Marvel film news that was revealed at last week's San Diego Comic-Con. We got to see a load of awesome stuff, including some concept art of what Captain Marvel's costume is going to look like in the MCU. We got to see our first look at the Skrulls, who are going to be the villains in the movie. Nick Fury is confirmed to be back with both eyes, and the film is set in the 1990s. But if Nick Fury is back, and the film is set in the 90s, does that mean other fan favorite characters can return as well? Let's cover this. First, let's talk about the Skrulls. The Skrulls are a fictional race of extraterrestrial shapeshifters, regularly featured in Marvel Comics, usually as villains bent on invading Earth and engaged in a long war with the extraterrestrial Kree. Kevin Feige stated that the Kree-Skrull War is a part of the inspiration for the Captain Marvel movie. Now the question is, if this film takes place in the 90s, so the Skrulls were introduced to the MCU in the 90s, why haven't we seen the Skrulls make a return or anything ever since in any of the further MCU films? There could be multiple answers, but the ones I've come up with is either Captain Marvel kicked their butts so bad and they went back to space and never came back, or either they are living among us. The Skrulls are shapeshifters. They can shapeshift into different people, so they could literally still be on the Earth right among all the Avengers, everybody. And I really loved the concept art that we got for the MCU designs of the Skrull. From what we saw, it literally looks like they were ripped out of a comic page and plastered on the big screen. And that's fine with me because I love me some comic accuracy, especially when it can be adapted well on screen. The concept art for Captain Marvel's outfit also looks very, very comic accurate. She will be rocking a short hairstyle instead of a long one or a mostly cut. Personally, I'm glad they went with short because I don't know how I would have felt with long hairstyle or mostly cut. Nick Fury is returning and he will have both eyes. This is a very good opportunity for them to show us more about Nick Fury's character and how he got the eye patch. Because in all the films we have seen him in, Iron Man 2, Avengers, Winter Soldier, and Avengers Age of Ultron, that's 5 films we have seen him in, and we still barely know anything about the man. So maybe the Captain Marvel film set in the 90s could dive just a little bit into his origin, maybe. From the sounds of things, it seems like Nick Fury is going to be a huge part of this movie. Think of it like Spider-Man Homecoming, how Tony was spread out through the film and he was kind of Peter's mentor. Think of it like that, except he won't really be a mentor per se, but he will be there helping Carol out, and he might have an even bigger role in this than Iron Man had in Spider-Man Homecoming. If Fury can return, does that mean other fan favorites can return as well? The person I think has the best chance of returning is Hank Pym. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, but there's been talk that the way Carol Danvers will receive her powers is based on some sort of quantum physics or something dealing with the quantum realm. None of this is confirmed, I don't think, but it's just stuff I've heard. If that's the case, then this would be the perfect opportunity to have Hank Pym return. If there's anyone who knows all there is to know about quantum physics and the quantum realm, Hank Pym is the guy. Though this film takes place in the 1990s, and in 1989, as we saw at the beginning of Ant-Man, Hank Pym had resigned from S.H.I.E.L.D. because S.H.I.E.L.D. had tried to replicate his Ant-Man shrieking technology. So even though Pym hid everything about it, does S.H.I.E.L.D. still have any type of files or data on it? And would any of that contribute to how Captain Marvel got her powers? I don't know. Also, it would be a very, very awesome opportunity for them to bring Agent Peggy Carter back. We also saw her at the beginning of Ant-Man, same scene with Hank Pym. Maybe her connection to Hank Pym and Ant-Man could be the thing that leads to Peggy Carter making a comeback. This film takes place in the 90s, meaning Peggy is somewhere in her 70s. Probably isn't completely active as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but she could still be in the picture somewhere. I don't know exactly how she would pop up in the film, but it would just be a really cool thing to do and kind of fan service since how they canceled Agent Carter. Let's get back to Captain Marvel though. If this film takes place in the 90s and she's going to be in Avengers, then how does she age? Is she going to look the same as she does in Captain Marvel? What I think is that her powers might do kind of the same thing that Steve Rogers' Super Soldier Serum did to him. It will kind of reduce how fast she ages. And if the quantum realm has anything to do with that, then it seems logical. What do I think of this? I think this is cool. I don't know too much about the Skrulls, but I think they're in Secret Invasion. I'm pretty sure that's a huge comic book event, so I'm going to need to get Secret Invasion so I can learn about the Skrulls. But everybody's excited that they're being introduced in the MCU, and apparently everybody's wanted them in the MCU for a long time, so I'm down for it. And they look comic accurate from what I've seen. I really like Captain Marvel. I like how her costume looks pretty much like it was ripped from the comics, And I like her short haircut because I don't know how I feel about long or a kind of a almost buzz cut, so I think short hair does it for me. Also, Nick Fury, it's going to be awesome to see him back again because we haven't seen him since Age of Ultron, and that was 2015, and Captain Marvel is until 2019, so it's still a while until we see Nick Fury. I hope we do get some more backstory because, like I said, in the 5 movies, we don't really know nothing about the man, and especially in Winter Soldier, you could tell how, he loves to keep his secrets and everything. Also, hope they do us some fan service. I say fan service because I don't think we don't need to know how he got his eye patch. That doesn't help with any overall plots or anything. So we don't need to know that. But it's fan service. Like, it'll be really cool for all of us fans to know how he got his eye patch. The characters, those are just my 2 personal opinions of who could make a comeback. I could see it reasonable for Hank Pym, having his knowledge on the quantum stuff. And Peggy Carter, I don't know exactly where she would fit in. Like I said, maybe the connection with Hank Pym and Ant-Man, but I think it would be really cool to see her pop up and maybe a little bit of fan service. But yeah, those are the 2 people I think could return. I also was going to say maybe Howard Stark and Phil Coulson, but for certain reasons I don't think so. But let me know who you think could return, any fan favorite characters. So I know this could be reaching a bit, but it's one theory that I have of how Captain Marvel might look the same in Avengers 4 as she does in Captain Marvel. What if after she's done finding the Skrulls and stuff, or like after she's done finding the Skrulls, something happens and she gets stuck in the quantum realm, like Hope Diane, Hank Pym's wife. What if that same thing happens, and then in an end credit scene for Captain Marvel, we see Ant-Man maybe get her out, or not necessarily Ant-Man, just somehow she gets out. Like I said, I know it's reaching, but it would make sense to why she's the same age, to why she looks the same age, Also, where has she been? That's the question everybody has. If she became Captain Marvel in the 90s, where was she when Loki started an alien invasion? Where was she when Ultron was trying to have world annihilation? Okay? Where was she? Well, it's just one of those things that we're going to have to watch the movie to find out. There won't really be any answer. But here's my prediction. I think maybe she could have did the same thing as Wonder Woman in the DCEU. Remember, after Wonder Woman defeated Ares, she went into isolation and hid away from mankind for the past 100 years until Doomsday happened, a world-ending threat. So people are like, well, why didn't she help them with Loki or Ultron? But that's something that the Avengers, they handled by themselves. Yes, was it tough? Yes, but they handled it by themselves. Thanos is not just a world-ending threat, but once he acquires all the stones, he will be a universal ending threat. And I think that's what it's going to take to get Captain Marvel out of isolation and to get her back to fighting and stuff like that. Because that's what it took Diana. And people are like, well, why didn't she help Superman when Zod tried to terraform Earth into Krypton then? Well, I mean, Superman, he was able to handle it by himself. And also, she wasn't in the vicinity, as well. I mean, she could have gotten there easily, but she wasn't in the vicinity, and Superman was able to handle it. And people may be like, well, what about Suicide Squad? Well, I mean, they were able to handle it, and again, she wasn't in the vicinity. It would take something like Ares, and so for Captain Marvel, I think it would take something like Thanos, like a world-ending threat. Well, more than a world-ending threat, a universal-ending threat in Thanos' case. So, I think that could also be it if it's not the other thing I said about her being trapped in the quantum realm. So, let me know what you think about all of this. The concept art for Captain Marvel and the Skrulls. Are you excited about the Skrulls being in the MCU? What do you hope that we learn about Nick Fury? What do you think? Where do you think Captain Marvel has been this whole time? That concludes this episode of Mad Hero News. If you enjoyed this video, there are 2 like buttons. Fingerprint the button with the thumb pointing up. Share this video to anyone you feel enjoy, and ding dong the subscribe button to join the Mad Squad on our journey to 10,000 subscribers. My name's Joe, aka Mad Joe FC. Hope you all have a marvelous day. Mad out.